Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to April's reading wrap-up. It's another one of those days where it's nice and gloomy and we're hoping for rain. So I do apologize if the brightness of the camera is kind of not that bright. If it's dim, okay? If it's darker than usual. I'm just embracing this, not cold, but this very gray, stormy-ish day. To me, it's a perfect day to talk about books, obviously. Any day is the perfect day to talk about books, but it's so much better when you have a background of rainy, gray skies. Anyways, enough about the weather. I don't know. I'm not the weather girl, but we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of April. I read 10 books in the month of April. A lot of them were very thick books like this. I will pat myself on the back because out of the 11 books that I wanted to read in April's TBR, I ended up reading 6. So, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good in my book. Okay, so let's start off by talking about the first 2 books, okay? That would be books 4 and 5 of the Plated Prisoners series, which is Glow and Gold. Let's talk about Glow first. So I feel like this was a filler book. I gave this one a 4, but honestly, I feel like this is more of an in-between book. Not a lot of things happen in this book, which is why I gave it a 4. Considering how book 3 ended, book 4 could have done a lot better executing and continuing with the storyline. It wasn't horrible, but it was very slow. It also dives deep into more of the background of the characters. You learn more about them and their story, and it wasn't my favorite. The pacing was way off for me. This is the only one out of the entire series that I'm giving a 4. It wasn't my favorite, my least favorite to say. Then we have Gold, a 5-star. This whole entire series is so amazing. It's so good. Like, there's just so many in each and every book. There's so much politics and greed. The character development in these books are just fantastic. I have never hated a character so much and did a 360 with my feelings towards that character as the story progresses, and it's just everything. This series is so good, you guys. Pick it up if you haven't already, or if it's been sitting in your TBR, pick it up, okay? I just recently finished book 6. We will talk about that in my wrap-up, but you guys, if you've been following me on Instagram, you have been seeing me rant about how freaking good this series is. I love it so much, and I will take no criticism because I love it that much. Also, I really love how my face focuses and unfocuses. Every time I take a sip of tea, how annoying. Anyways, moving on. Then I read Black Ties and White Lies by Kate Singleton. This was okay. This is a billionaire contemporary romance. That's pretty much it. I gave it a 3.5. It was really smutty. It was good. It was a fun time. But again, it wasn't anything to like rave about. It was just fine. And I don't know if it was because I was reading Gold at the time and I was going in between books. This was fun. That's it. I have nothing else to say about this book. It was a good time. The steamy scenes were great. We have assistant boss romance, billionaire romance, fake engagement, forced proximity. I mean, all the tropes that I love in a romance are in here. I just thought it was fine. In this story, we're following our MMC Beck, who is a billionaire. He needs to fix his image because he is known to be a playboy. So he needs to clean it up and fix it in order to continue doing business that he has been. And so he decides to reach out to his brother's ex and do like a fake engagement arrangement type of thing where he hires her, she works for him, and then they fake date and pretend to be engaged. It was good. All the tropes were there. It was good time, but nothing, again, to rave about. I will admit, though, some of the things that our MMC Beck does for Margot or FMC, of course, he's a billionaire, so they're over the top, and we love to see it. Okay, moving on. Then picked up Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Freaking 5. I mean, come on, are you surprised? Because I'm not. I don't care what this woman writes at this point. I will eat it up. Even if it's garbage, I will devour it and give it a 5. I just feel like Lauren Roberts is so damn talented. She is only 22. She wrote Powerless when she was 18. Okay? That is impressive. I'm just fangirling over her. I admire her so much. Anyways, this is the conclusion to the Powerless trilogy, maybe, because I did see a little spoiler of her saying that there is going to be a novella continuing the story, but differently. So I don't know what that means. I just know that whatever she writes next, I'm going to devour and probably give it 5. And I'm also hoping that she's thinking about the next series. What is she gonna write next? I just can't wait. I can't wait to see whatever she writes next. So again, 5 stars. There is no, like, I rave about this all year round. You see my feelings towards this entire trilogy throughout several videos and vlogs and wrap-ups and TBRs. Whatever the case might be, this is one of my favorite series of all time. So this one didn't fail me. 5 stars. I've been on a green tea kick. I don't know why I haven't drank green tea sooner, because this is the most delicious thing ever, the most calming thing, and it has so many benefits and properties. Okay, moving on. Moving on, okay? I know. I'm getting sidetracked. The next book I read was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I don't care if half of the world does not agree with me on this. This is my favorite book that she has written. It is the saddest, very depressing, and just raw, flawed, and real, okay? What these characters go through is just so heartbreaking. What they're going through with their family members, you know, is just, like a gut punch of pure agony and sadness, and I loved every bit of it. 5 stars. In this book, we are following Xavier and Samantha is like a media influencer. She's into marketing. Xavier is a vet. Their first encounter is her going to the vet because she picks up a stray cat, I believe. He is not the nicest to her. Let's just say their first encounter was not so meet cute, okay? It wasn't cute at all. He's kind of an asshole. And they have this banter back and forth, and something happens. She proves him wrong. The story goes from there, okay? I don't want to say much. I just love this book so much. I loved it from the beginning. I loved how they met. I love the Akatar references, even though some people cringe. He freaking looks like Rhysand. How can you not love that? How can you not love that? But also, this is not only about them, it's about dealing with a long distance relationship. It's about grief, having to cope with a family member who has dementia, and having to just go through the rawness and the pain that both parties go through. Abby Jimenez does romance so well. The characters are always dealing with some kind of grief or some kind of thing in their lives that just shakes their world. In the meantime, they have to navigate having a long distance relationship and also dealing with whatever they're dealing with at home. Our MMC Xavier dealt with child abuse. There's also, like, check your trigger warnings, but there's also like animal abuse, child abuse. It is sad. This is the saddest, very depressing book, but that's what I loved about it, because it made me freaking cry and not want to pick it up, but pick it up and go through all these emotions and feel like I'm going through what a person would go through if their family member had dementia. Like, everything was just so real, raw, excruciating to read, you know, but it was just so beautiful. Xavier reminds me of my husband. Everything that Xavier does, the fact that he always has Samantha, our main female character, in his mind. He's always thinking of her, and he's always doing these things to show her, like, just little things. It's just so beautiful. Their love was just, so raw, so romantic, and all you want to do is see them be together, you know, and having them navigate through this long distance relationship, and then on top of that, having Samantha deal with her mom having dementia and trying to take care of that, and watching her family fall apart because they're trying to navigate how to live with someone who's losing their memories, and it's just so sad. And then Xavier, who was abused as a child, who witnessed animal abuse, it's so sad, but again, it's so beautiful. There's so many beautiful quotes in this book that just made me just want to cry so badly. This is not a spoiler. This is just a name I'm going to throw out there. But you know what part almost like made me sob to death was when we found out who Hank was. I think his name is Hank. If you've read this book, you know. When we find out who he is and why he is so important in one of the characters' past, God, like, that moment right there made me, like, freaking wail like a baby. Like that was just such a beautiful moment. So many beautiful quotes in here. I don't even know if I can read you one because they're long paragraphs. They're just long paragraphs, but they're just so beautiful and you feel it. You feel it to your core. All these beautiful words you feel down to your freaking core on how much this man loves this woman. You know, like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to share a quote because there isn't a short enough quote. But this was a 5-star. She redeemed herself when she wrote this. I feel like she wrote this just for me. Even though I have not gone through anything that happened in this book, I feel like she wrote this for me because it touched my soul way differently than it did the rest of her books. And I can't wait to see what she writes next. Then I read Enchantress by Kaylee Smith. This was a 3.5. I was not crazy about this. I almost felt like even though the storyline is way different than Phantasma, I saw myself enjoying Phantasma a lot more than I did this. I feel like this was somewhat a rinse and repeat of the first book, the Wicked Games series. In this one, we're following Genevieve, who is the sister of the main female character in the first book, Phantasma. We're following her and her love interest in this setting where she has to play these deadly games with her fiance's family to survive the night. I don't know. I was just not into it as much as I was into the first story. I have no idea why. It was just not my favorite. I also found Genevieve very naive and slightly annoying. I just found her character to be very immature. The romance at first, I did not believe it either. Like, I did not believe the romance, the attraction that these two had for each other, which is why I gave it 3.5. So we're following our FMC Genevieve, who goes to the house of Enchantress in order to get answers for questions that she has about her mother's past. Once she enters, she is kind of cursed. In order to survive her curse, this curse that was forced upon her, she has to do a marriage of convenience with Rowan, our main male character, and play these kind of deadly games with his twisted family. I do like the fact that this is dark and gothic a little bit, and also like there's paranormal elements to it. Then I read The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. This is the second book in the Housemaid series, I think the series is called. I gave this one a 3. This one was fun. We're following the same character, Millie, from the first book, and how she is a very nosy maid and still gets in trouble and puts herself in situations that she doesn't deserve, but at the same time she is very nosy, so that's what her personality is. She is a very nosy maid who gets herself in trouble every single time, and this book is the same thing. In this book, she's working for the Garricks, a married couple with no children. Mr. Garrick, Douglas Garrick, happens to be very particular about how the house should be cleaned, you know, how things should be put in place. He's kind of like a neat freak. This man is very particular. He's very controlling. He is precise and he likes things done a certain way. In the meantime, Mrs. Garrick, for some reason, stays in their guest room and barely comes out. And so to Millie, this is very, very concerning because she has no idea why Miss Garrick is always stuck there and does not come out. At the same time, she is told by Mr. Garrick that she has a chronic illness and therefore she has to stay in this room all day. We also have in the meantime a feeling that Millie gets throughout the story where someone's watching her, following her, and it's very creepy. And I love that about this book. The reason why I gave this a 3 was because the storyline was very simple and predictable. I felt like, again, this is another one of those books where it's a rinse and repeat. We're following Millie. She's a nosy housemaid and she gets herself in trouble, just like the first book. It did feel underwhelming at times and a bit boring to me because I'm not a person to guess anything, okay? I don't try to guess plots or twists or whatever, and I don't ever see them coming. So for me to be that bored and guess what the plot twist is was underwhelming. I guess the first twist, but towards the end of the book, that's when it started getting a lot better and I did not guess the second twist. Okay, I did not guess it, did not see it coming, and I felt like it was executed well. So I did enjoy the ending, just the entire book was a bit underwhelming to me, which is why I gave it a 3. Then I wanted to read something dark. I just, you know, sometimes when I'm craving something dark and messy, I want to pick up a dark romance. It's always when I have that feeling that I want to pick up a dark romance, so I finally picked up Penpal by J.T. Geissinger, I think. I don't think I said their name right, but this book was a 5. This was so good. This introduced me to dark thriller romance. I didn't know that I cared about a thriller in a dark romance until I read this. This was so exceptionally good. I did not guess the plot twist. I did not see anything coming. It was mysterious. I don't really see that it was too dark for a dark romance, but it was mysterious. It was thrilling. Obviously, there's a romance in there. There is very good steamy scenes. Like, this had it all. I'm not gonna say a lot, but I will say that in this story, we're following our FMC who has gone through a horrible loss in her life. She has recently lost her husband due to a tragic accident. We follow her going through grief and loss, going through all these emotions, and as soon as her husband is buried, she receives a letter from a man named Dante who happens to be in prison. The letter says, "I will wait forever if I have to." She has no idea who this person's waiting for, so for some reason, she replies back and says, "Who are you waiting for?" And he writes her a letter back saying, "You." And the story goes from there. I'm telling you, you will not guess the plot twist. This book has all kinds of things in it. On the edge of your seat. It's mysterious. It's dark. It's sad. The plot twist is phenomenal. Like, I never guessed it. Sad what it is, but I never guessed it. And I was highly impressed by this. I went into this book not thinking anything of it, and I absolutely devoured it and loved it. I never wanted to stop reading it. I was on the edge of my seat. This romance that she has with our MMC, this guy right here, is so beautiful and romantic. Everything about this book was so good. This again was the best introduction for me to have a dark thriller romance be one of my favorite subgenres now. So I don't know if I've kept my feelings for these books very vague, but I feel like today is more of a sit down chit chat type of conversational video instead of like an informative one. Okay? So do with that what you will. Okay. So here we go. Let's talk about the next book that I read. And you know what? Let's take this off because I'm freaking hot. The next book I read, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I gave this a 3, but it's going down to a 2. This was so underwhelming and so unsatisfying and so... like, it let me down. Normally, Emily Henry books never let me down. And I know that Emily Henry writes books and does not revolve the romantic plot of the book to be up in center. You know, it's not the main plot. It's more like a subplot. And then she writes whatever the characters are going through as more of the main storyline of the book. In this one, I could care less, okay? I just don't even want to talk about it. In this one, I could care less. First, let's talk about what this book is mainly about. We're following 2 journalists who are competing for the same job. That's pretty much it. The job in this book is having the privilege to interview a celebrity who was an heiress, you know, daughter to one of the most wealthiest, most scandalous families in the history. The privilege to write her biography is a very big deal for these characters because this woman, after a tragic accident, she disappeared off the face of the earth and nobody has seen her yet. And so when our main female character, Alice, gets a tip that she is still alive, then she pursues to interview her and possibly get the potential job. So we're following our characters as they navigate competing for the same position. But this entire story is focused mainly around Margaret, the lady that is being interviewed, and her past life, her love, and her loss. And I just did not care. I did not care one bit. Like, I could care less. Most of this book is those scenes, interviews with Alice and Margaret talking about Margaret's past. And there's just so many of them. You really don't get to see Alice and our MMC, Hayden, much. You don't even get to see them have chemistry throughout the entire book. When Hayden and Alice have encounters and situations together, those are the parts that I enjoyed the most. But for the rest of it, I was literally snoozing and sleeping. I did not care. I was just very disappointed. I was disappointed on how this story was executed. We didn't get to see enough of the main characters in this book and how they are falling in love and their love is progressing. And we just focused on Margaret and her life, and it made me feel like Margaret was the main character in this book and the side characters were Alice and Hayden, and it was just frustrating. So yeah, this was a letdown. This was a letdown. It's such a shame because I did go out of my way to go to Barnes and buy the special edition, which is the most beautiful cover of Emily Henry's, but again, this was just so I feel like this was executed so poorly. It had so much potential because it was about two writers, two journalists. The interviews portion can be fun, but if you make the book so heavy on that, you kind of lose track of who the main character is, what the main storyline is. Everything just goes downhill. So I'm sorry to say, 2-star. That's my final opinion on this. Then I finished the month with another dark romance, and that one is Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. This was, to me, a very good standalone dark romance. I mean, check your trigger warnings, because the reason why I didn't want to pick this up in the beginning when I first got this book like last year was because of the trigger warnings. But this was good. Another dark, mysterious, thrillerish romance. We're following Sawyer and Enzo. They absolutely hate each other. Was it because Sawyer did something to Enzo? Maybe. I'm just gonna leave it at that, maybe. Well, we're following them as their boat crashes into the sea and have an accident. They get stuck in this lighthouse. And in this lighthouse, the caretaker of this lighthouse just so happens to be very, very creepy. Like, he does very weird things. The story is about Enzo and Sawyer trying to work together to survive not only the shark-infested waters, but the isolation, the fact that they're stuck in the middle of nowhere without any help, and they also have to survive this creepy, mysterious man doing just weird things. This was, again, really good. The spicy scenes on this were wild, but they were delicious and they were just extreme, but I enjoyed it. The mystery behind what's actually happening in this story is great. It's just so good. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. I gave this one a 4. I enjoyed it, and it was a really good book to end the month off strong. I have really nothing bad to say about this book other than it wasn't a 5-star feeling for me, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it. Either way, I had a great time, and the storyline is very interesting. It's the perfect ratio of smut and plotline. I don't have anything bad to say about it. So there you have it, friends. Those are all the 10 books that I read this month. I feel proud of myself that I actually halfway followed my TBR this month. Did I want to read most of these books? Yes, but at the same time, during the time of reading them, I didn't feel like picking them up. But I'm glad I did, because most of these were 4 or 5 stars, with the exception of one, and I just had a great time. So that's it. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye!